Jai Hind. Thank you, Dada. While addressing the INA from Berlin radio, Netaji had made a statement. Each one of you who becomes a martyr will have a memorial in independent India. And people will shower flowers on that memorial. There cannot be a more disgusting this in this country that for 70 years, the entire contribution of INA, Netaji, was not only sidetracked, but all efforts made by some were suppressed and crushed. And so much so that ultimately the British had to depend on Nehru to keep that crushing continued after 45. I can say this with full confidence. And today I'm very happy that under the present government such ceremonies are taking place and Netaji is being back into the life of our youth. There are many firsts in the life of Netaji, and I chose this topic, the firsts in Netaji, because one question which I had been working upon was, why were the British so scared of Netaji? Why did they dreaded him so much that if in India he has to remain in jails, otherwise he is to remain in exile? Why they were so much afraid of him, and why to an extent certain Congress leaders were afraid of him within the freedom struggle. You please cite me a single document wherein the British say that they left India because of the fear of Gandhi or because of the fear of Indian National Congress. Please cite me a single document. And contrary to that, there are documents and documents, right from Auchinleigh, the chief commander, to Wavell, that in 1857 type situation has emerged. If we have to stay in India, we will have to reconquer India. And for that, I will need 1 lakh European soldiers. This is Auchinleigh. And on the basis of that, Wavell writes that we must compromise and reach an agreement. And it's a pity that there are files and files and files in National Archives which our historians never bothered to even open those files. Even on this, there is this thick file that how these 1 lakh European soldiers have to be posted in India. No one has looked at the military intelligence files of the Eastern Command related to INA and Netaji. They were very happy writing, Netaji died in the plane crash. Let them come, let any historian come and debate that Netaji died in the plane crash. I get so pained when I hear these voices even today, that DNA test should be done. The asthis should be brought from Japan. That's something which never happened. And my argument very simple. Nehru was out to prove that Netaji died in the plane crash. And with this, when those so-called 2 bags came from Japan, those 2 suitcases, which were kept at Tinmurti also for a month, with that burnt some jewelry and some remains, so-called remains of the plane crash. Why did Nehru write on them? Not to be displayed and kept it in the vaults of National Museum. If they were actually the remains, Nehru would have displayed it everywhere. And today in this country, I am wondering, because when I made the Netaji Museum in Delhi, I tried to locate out so many things. I made this museum, every word I wrote in this museum also, what you are seeing in display. I tried to get certain government records which I couldn't. And today I am convinced that this whole thing is related to the INA treasures. And like we know that there are secret societies or mafia which pass on to the next generations their actions of mafia, and what that is, all those who looted those treasures and all are a party even today, and they have their roots in Indian bureaucracy, they have roots externally, they have roots in the political parties, that they don't want that the truth about Netaji's disappearance or what the INA did after 1945 should come out. So these stories keep planting out that. Why is the DNA? What happened to the plane? Netaji had a special plane with him, given by the Japanese, in which he flew from Singapore to Saigon. Has anyone questioned that? Where did that plane go? And Netaji was not a fool. That when whole air command is taken over by the Americans and all, and he had surrendered, that he will go by that. Why was the story of, what's his name? Sanyal, Inspector Gauri Sanyal, whose story was discarded. And he was murdered after that. 10 days in this very Calcutta only, when he said that the Japanese, I was a guard at the Japanese PO's camp, and the Japanese told him that this story is humbug, this aeroplane theory, he had left by a submarine and all that. Anyway, leaving that, I come back to my whole aspect, taking a few minutes more on this thing. Why the British dreaded him, and why Netaji deserves a place at India Gate under the canopy. Why? And my answers to that is, he was first to give up the ICS. I never use the word resign. People use the word resign. I feel very uncomfortable. Because if you look at the language of his document, he is not using the word I resign from ICS. In such bold language, when people used to write in their applications, I am your most obedient sir, down and sign it. He wrote, struck my name out of the selected candidates of ICS. Struck it out. How many Indians and congressmen at that time had the courage to use such language with the British? And that too, what was his age? 24 years. And the British were very shrewd. They realized at that time only that he is a boy. If at this age he can give up this service, and at this age he is writing another letter where he says that it is contradictory to my serving the motherland if that whole 6 months period in between where is written. And if this fellow for his motherland can give up the highest service in India, how dangerous that man can be for the British. Because what was the Congress? What were the Congress demands? Right from 1885. हमको सरकारी नौकरी दे दो इंडियंस को, हमको असेंबली के अंदर रिप्रेजेंटेशन दे दो, give us places in legislatures. And that is what they did, ultimately getting a dominion status. Please remember, we never got independence on August 15, 1947, because the British king abdicated the throne on 22nd June 1948. See that London Gazette. Pick up the letter for appointment of Rajgopalachari as a Governor General. Nehru, on behalf of his cabinets, writes to the King George VI and seeks his permission to. Were we independent if we had to take the permission of King George VI to appoint our Governor General? And the funniest thing, why I'm correlating these things, because they go in relation to why Netaji was betrayed. Name me a single country who has been ruled for 175 years by foreigners who not only exploited their resources, but massacred people, killed people, jailed people, exiled people, brutalized the whole country for 175 years. And the last representative of that country in this country, you convert him from Viceroy Mountbatten to Pandit Mountbatten ji overnight by making him the first Governor General of India. What was this? Netaji was not one who was negotiating partition of this country sitting on the tables in Shimla in Delhi. Netaji had led this country in the battlefield to establish the first united India's government, a government with full departments. There are some people question, how can you call it first department, first government? It was the first government in the sense because it was a full-fledged government having everything which a government needs, including an army, postal system, finances, bank, everything. And it operated from the Indian soil, not at one place, but at two places. Don't forget that he was the first when the Japanese had been occupying Andamans. It was he who could force them to give it back because they belong to India, they belong to our Azad Hind Sarkar. It was he who did that. It was he, for the first time in the Indian National Congress, in an official resolution, the word of complete independence was used by Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, none else. Tilak ji has used the word Swaraj. Gandhi never knew what was the meaning of Swaraj, a vague Swaraj which he talked in 1920-21. It was Netaji Bose who moved in there in this Calcutta, the resolution for complete independence of India, which was rejected. And what are the grounds of rejection? Gandhiji says the country is not prepared for that. Our revolutionaries are dying. They are giving their lives. Since Sannyasi and Fakir rebellion of 1770, here from Bengal only, the British have been challenged. Every place where the British tried to expand, they were challenged. And Gandhiji says, country is not prepared to fight for independence. This song, if I am somewhere there, I'll request this song should be banned in this country. That de di tumhe azadi bina tir bina dhal. Sabarmati ke sant tune kar diya kamal. This is humiliation and insult of our all revolutionaries and Ayyanne people who gave their lives fighting the British out of this country. No one gave us azadi. The British were thrown out. Only difference was before they were kicked out, as they were to be kicked out, as General Bakshi says, they left before they think they will be kicked out. Netaji was Netaji was the first who, even when the Congress said complete independence and that's Lahore, he went two steps further again. No, not only this, give us the program also how you will achieve this complete independence. He was the first to honor the revolutionaries. Jatendra Das, he led the barefoot march in Calcutta over here. And same Jatin Das who died of hunger strike of 63 days, Gandhi had no word to say on him. Don't ask me to comment on him, otherwise you dare to do into me. So was it violence? This whole non-violence, supporting British in the World War I is non-violence. Supporting British in the Boer Wars is non-violence. And can you isolate the murders, killings and violence of 1947 during the partition, which was a logical outcome of the way Congress negotiated partition of this country with the government of Britain? Didn't everyone knew? Noakhali had given the signals. Lahore had given the signals of violence. What were the precautions taken by these Congress leaders with the British? That they were negotiating who will become the Prime Minister and who will be taken back. But about the Indian common people, nothing was taken. Netaji was first who left this planning commission. He's first. He made it. Many courtness, he sent China. He's first it. But 2, 3 more I'll say the first, which are very important. Please stop calling and using this word great escape. Please stop it. I didn't use it in the museum in Red Fort. He left the police sleeping. Because he was not escaping. He went to fight another war, and that was a fully pre-planned done, where he will go, how he will fight, what is to be done. I feel sorry when the word escape is used. He's the first in that. And if you look at his Kabul thesis, because some in the Bush family tried to tell me that you are a fake historian, you are faking the documents. When I said that he had met, Savarkar earlier, and the way Savarkar recruited people for the British government, Netaji in Kabul thesis says that we must send our trusted people into this new army which the British are recruiting so that they work for us, and when the time comes, they switch over to us. And what was I in? Either the Pravasi Indians who contributed their lives and everything in Southeast Asian countries, whom we have forgotten, and the British. I'll close it up. He is the first who forms the most modern regiment for women in the world, Rani Jhansi Regiment. No one would have conceived at that time. In that sense, it is this which is the youth of India has to be told today, that what he stood for, what he did, why he brought these first things, and analyze them further. Today there's no time because this is a topic which can go on for hours to speak on that. But this is what the thing is for our younger generation to see. And I personally believe that the time of honoring, Netaji had honored about 58 people with their medals for their bravery during the fight in Imphal and Burma, Mount Popo, Arakan and all that. Look at our colonial mentality. We still say with very pride, Victoria Iron Cross was given to so-and-so in First World War. Does any history book in India ever tells that our braves were given medals by Netaji also for their bravery and warriorship in the Indian thing? And it's time that entire history books in this country, which are in the schools and colleges, written by such historians who called Netaji Kutta of Toju. And last statement I'm going to make, because this can be elaborative, that those who accused Netaji of allying with Hitler and Italy and Germany forgot 2 things. One, that so long Germany had a non-aggression pact with Soviet Union, Hitler was not a fascist for them. Hitler became a fascist for these Indian communists only when Germany attacked Russia. And second thing, Netaji tied with Japan, Germany and Italy. None of these 3 countries had done any wrong to India. Anyone can cite me. And these communists cited and supported the British who had been exploiting India for 175 years. And they call themselves people of the masses. This is my answer to the left in this country who abuses Netaji. And let them contradict me by any of these facts, I'll take it back. I think Dr. Pal is giving me opportunity in the evening at Mahajati Sadan to speak more on these aspects. Thank you very much.